I had a client who I was onboarding and the expectation was that the homework would be done before the call. And the first thing he said to me when he jumped on the call, he was making fun of it, but like it was a good laugh. But he was like, I've been a bad boy. I haven't done my homework.
I've heard that before. It's awkward.
But it's like the first thing they're thinking of that before they get on the call.
Yeah, because
that's amazing.
You've set that expectation that they have to show up on time with their cameras on and do what we tell them. Almost 60% of people forget what your email was just 48 hours later.
Welcome to the Marketing Mentors podcast brought to you by Red Pandas Digital. I'm Linda and I'm joined again with Tasha, finally. Nice to have you back, T.
I'm so glad to be back talking with you, Linda. It feels like it's been a really, really long time.
It does, yeah. You've been off for, I think, 2 podcasts. We've had a few guest speakers on, but it is awesome to have you back.
Feels like it was just yesterday.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. But I was in Bali, just so everyone knows. I was enjoying the beautiful weather in beautiful Bali.
Living your life.
That's it with the fam, but definitely excited to be back here today talking about all sorts of things. And if you didn't pick up what we just put down, I love that saying. I feel like I say that a lot.
Yeah.
But almost 60% of your people forget what your email was just 48 hours later.
So crazy.
If we're talking about text-based emails.
Yeah.
So we're all so well accustomed and just trained in writing, long-ass text-based emails. And what's actually really funny, and these stats come from Vidyard, just so you know, we've got some more stats because we all love good stats, right? Is these text-based emails are being forgotten. And just reflect on yourself as email receivers and think about some recent emails you've gotten. There's a good chance you can't really remember an email you got 2 days ago.
Totally.
Especially if it was text-based.
Well, I don't read most of them.
Linda,
just delete them straight away.
I don't read my emails.
I mean, not work emails.
It's that's why Linda doesn't reply to it. Yeah. No, I'm joking. It's all good. But on the note of stats and videos, we've got some cool stats from Vidyard here. And, I think everyone gets it. Video is important, but let's just drive that message home a little bit more. 80% of online media is video. 80% of online media is video. So that's a lot of shit online.
Now.
Exactly, is video, right? One-on-one video is now a critical business tool. It's not nice to use or you should think about it. No, it's a critical business tool, one-on-one video. And too often we have gaps within our client meetings, team meetings, and a really nice way to overcome that is sending videos. So we're actually going to talk a little bit more about 3 specific ways we can use videos within your organization now. But I think what's probably super important to really mention, communication is key. Yeah. Right, Linda?
And I think the story here as well is that, as T just said, right, 80% of online media is video. It's all over our socials. As businesses, they know that their content performs better when it's video. And we have a stat for that too. 76% of businesses report video performs better than other types of content, right? Nice. So we know that it's all over our socials. Businesses report that it is more effective than any other type of format when it comes to social media posting. But yet from a business perspective, internally, client-facing, from a sales perspective, we see it so underutilized.
So much.
And that's the story that we really want to sit on and talk through today. The fact that it is everywhere we look. However, there are still businesses operating in a way that, it's super inefficient. They're still sending long ass text-based emails to each other, wasting so much time with written content.
Half an hour meetings to go over something that could have been a 5-minute video.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's really interesting because we use video a lot here internally at Red Pandas, and we'll talk more about this at a later point in the podcast, but I'll send a video to a new client, for example, and they'll be so amazed. They'll be like, oh my God, what are you using? I've never seen this before. And it's like, how are we this behind when it is everywhere?
5 years. I'm telling you now, Linda, I started using Loom, maybe not more, 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm still educating clients on what Loom is and how to do screen recordings and how to share these types of things. So I think let's get into some real tactical ways that we can start using video, now. In the show notes, we will link the tools that we use. So I kind of jump between 2 tools. There is Loom, which I just mentioned then. and both this one and Vidyard, that's the other one that I mentioned, is you can get free versions of those. With the free versions, there's some restrictions, but the free versions are good enough to get you started if you're doing nothing. I'm pretty sure we used some free versions for quite a while until we're like, okay, cool, we definitely need to pay now.
Yeah, but you can just delete old ones. It'll get you by.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there is also, just side note, there is some AI starting to be embedded in these tools to make the experience even better. We won't go there today, but just heads up, these tools are getting better, obviously. But one of the first ways, and Linda kind of touched on it before, is client communications. I'm actually going to go with 3 first. So the kickoff calls. And I actually want to mention an example that happened this week by using a kickoff call video. So I had a client I was emailing on Monday. A call got moved around because of some schedules and moving pieces. An email was sent. There was some frustration from the client that this was happening. Yeah. And I'm like, no. My communication needs to be better. So I jumped on a Loom. I recorded a 1.15 minute long Loom. Yeah. And I literally just, with a smile on my face.
1.15?
It was like 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Okay. What does that equate to?
I'm not good with maths.
Sorry.
Or numbers. But essentially I said, hey, client, we're due for a kickoff call. My name's Tasha. I'm from Red Pandas. This is what I'm about. I want you to see, meet, know, feel me before we get into this next call. This is what we're going to do. And it's so interesting how well that was received. He watched it almost straight away, and I got an email back almost straight away saying, thank you so much. Really looking forward to our session on Friday. Yeah. And it completely alleviated any kind of like tension there was, because when words are written, especially when they are, not that there was a tension there, but it was definitely just like I said, there were some moving pieces that was causing some issues. Yeah. And when words are written and then received in certain ways, you're dealing with how someone might think you sound when you say certain things, certain like intonations on certain words, which they don't realize. Like, I'm actually just a super energetic person. They don't know that. So it's like, true. Sending that video, it took me 1 minute to create the video, 1 minute and 15 seconds to be precise. Yeah. To create the video, another 2 minutes to send the email. Yeah. And I think just a key little point here, you would have, and if you've heard any of our episodes, you know that we love things being succinct. When you send a video like that to a client, and I know you'll continue on this in a second, keep it like, hey client or hey prospect, I made you a 1.15 second long video. Check it out here, and then a link and like a thumbnail. I love the thumbnails, and you can do like funny faces and shit. So yeah. And it just was received so well. And I had that kickoff call with him today. They loved me. They loved the video. They wanted to know how to do more of them. So kickoff calls for new clients, that's one example of doing it. I know you've got more you can say on that.
There are so many good things in there as well, which I just want to like quickly unpack. So number one, the client feels better after receiving that, because like you said, they can see, feel, hear you. They can see your passion. They can actively see that you care through your body language, your tone of voice, your facial reaction. So that's one thing that's really good that came out of that. The other thing is it saves you a bunch of time. Yeah. Like if anyone has been in that situation where they're trying to like articulate an email where you're trying to communicate, you know, acknowledging other people's emotions, putting in your own emotions without looking defensive. Like when you're writing emails that aren't just black and white and you are trying to convey emotion through emails, they take time to write because you don't write them all the time. And also it's a skill to like be articulate in writing about emotions. And so it takes you a long ass time, even if you do it often, to write as opposed to just having a conversation over a Loom video and then linking that into the email instead.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So there's two like great outcomes from that. The other really good thing with sending a Loom video for a kickoff call is to vanguard the call prior and set expectations prior as well.
Yeah, I like that.
So I know before I'm having a kickoff call with a new client, I want to set expectations in the call, but I can start doing this before the call. And so I will send a video introducing myself, but also setting expectations like, you know, let's show up on time, cameras off, you know, come on. With cameras on, thank you, cameras on, come with this work done. And that way we already know when we're getting into a call
Yep.
that X, Y, and Z is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't have to then reactively say those things because they haven't happened
Yep.
when I've jumped on the call.
Yeah, I love that. That actually is so powerful, especially if you're in services and you're working with clients. A quick one-to-one video to your new client. Now, you could do a pre-record and then send it to everyone, or you could do a Loom on every basis. That's your process, what you want to do. At the moment, I'm doing unique videos for everyone, custom videos, if you will, because I address their names and talk about their business. But it has definitely helped. I've actually had some clients, when they come to the first call, they're like, oh, we're already scared of you because we've got to do our homework. And it's like,
yeah, you do.
yeah, 100%. And it's like, they're not scared of me. That expectation has been managed. They know what to expect when they come to that session.
And you know
who
what?
I am and what I'm about.
I'll have people like have fun with it, but ultimately like the expectation is there. Like I had a client who I was onboarding and the expectation was that the homework would be done before the call. And the first thing he said to me when he jumped on the call, he was making fun of it, but like it was a good laugh. But he was like, I've been a bad boy. I haven't done my homework.
I've heard that before. It's awkward. So
but it's like the first thing they're
true.
thinking of that before they get on the call.
Yeah, because
that's amazing.
You set that expectation that they have to show up on time with their cameras on and do what we tell them to, because we are taking them through a process and they need to make sure that X, Y, and Z is done before we can move on to A, B, and C or whatever it is. So I think if you're not, kickoff calls for new clients, new prospects is a really great way to intro, set expectations, and like Linda said, vanguard, show up on time with your camera on. Yeah, that's key. That's really key. All right.
Then there's also client management as well, just like ongoing clients that you have, I guess, and communicating with them. So for me personally, I know if I'm sending an email to a client and it is going to be over 100 words, I will send a Loom video instead.
I like that.
And it's really fun as well. I know we go back a step, but even like with new clients, right? Or just maybe existing clients that we've had, but just like new point of contact, and I'm sending them Loom updates and things like that, whether it is troubleshooting on how to navigate something in HubSpot, whether it's, you know, how to upload something to a website, whatever it is, I'll send them a Loom video, but they'll sometimes then send me videos back.
Yeah,
and it's really exciting seeing that journey for them. Just not the fact that we are their marketing partner, but they're also taking cues, like communication cues and integrating these like critical business tools that we're using into their business.
So what Linda's saying is when you work with red pandas, you just become better overall, right?
Pretty much,
you just
that's
become better. No, it's spot on, Linda. You're spot on. I had a client call again this week who was like, Tash, can I book like 30, 45 minutes in your calendar sometime next week to go over all these like HubSpot items? I'm like, sure, I'm happy to give you that time because we've got it, but why don't you record some Looms for me where you are going through the problems you're having? Because then I can, one, look at them in my own time, and like let's all be real, we all work flexible hours, so who knows what time that video will be watched, but it'll be watched, and I can respond when it's just peaceful, right? And there's not noise everywhere else. And two, I can hear the pain in their voice when they're talking about something not working or not doing what they're expecting. And then I can tell from a troubleshooting point of view, is it a user error? Like they're just not using it right? Is there a glitch? Is there a gap in their knowledge? Is there something more sinister here that we're not aware of? Like, that just gives you so much more context into what's going on. So this client, bless him, he's gone and created like individual Loom videos, and I have no issues with this. I've told him to do it on these like HubSpot issues, which are very, very basic things, but it's just like it gets it off his plate. He's communicated it to me in the best way possible. I can review it, see it, reply back with a Loom, like we said, reply back with a video to troubleshoot, educate, and then basically say like, I'm leaving this with you. I've empowered you. I've showed you how to do it now. I actually have one particular client that she's created like a spreadsheet with all of the Looms I've ever sent her.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she's like titled them, and she's super OCD, but I love it.
Love that.
Titles them, tags them. So like certain issues, certain things that arise. She's created her own like support for their individual HubSpot portal based off of these troubleshooting Looms that I've sent to her.
Wow.
And then a similar client that now also briefs me in with Looms, and she loves it. Loves it. And it's so much easier for me and like Omar, our developer, to hear and visualize what she wants.
So
I think, what what Linda said, like I can't drive the message home more.
Yeah.
Communication is so important, and when things are written, you just miss things.
Yeah.
Whereas when they're spoken, you can be a bit more authentic. You make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how many mistakes you guys have heard me make inside my looms.
I mean, it happens. That's human.
Yeah, and then you're just like, okay, don't worry about that. Just keep moving on.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, or poor Elena. Oh, she recorded a loom the other. This is probably a good lesson for everyone to, if you're listening to this and you want to use loom, just make sure everything's working right and you do your configuration properly, because she recorded quite a long brief for a team member, and it wasn't recording the screen. Yeah. So we had to redo that one, which look, this happens, but me sharing this with you guys, hopefully that's just like an insight, a pro tip. When you start doing it, start small.
Yeah.
Like we said before, succinct, keep them small, keep them one objective so they're not too long. So in case your mic doesn't work or your camera didn't work or whatever it is, you can quickly redo it.
You know what? And that's a good point. And I think we should talk about what makes these looms effective, because I can imagine somebody doing this, but then maybe following all the wrong communication cues and then it not actually being so effective in the end.
Loom video. This is not what I wanted you to do.
Oh God, yeah. Not like that.
No.
We'll
Bad
guide you guys. Yeah. So there's two parts to this, right? It's like I have a certain way of contextualizing the loom in the actual email itself.
Yeah.
But then there's the loom video itself.
Yep.
So I think from an email point of view, there's a few things that I would recommend here. Number one is I don't just add the URL into the email. I'll hyperlink it to text. So keep it nice and clean.
Yeah.
I know this sounds silly, but it is all these 1%ers that just make it easier for the person to navigate through a whole lot of information in an email. Hyperlink it to text. Actually have that text say in it what the video is about.
Yeah.
So be descriptive, and then also say how long the video is.
Yeah, that's
that way
very
they
important.
don't. Yeah, that way they don't
Very
click into the
important.
video and then realize they've got a 10-minute video ahead of them, and then they need to go back to it and forget.
Yeah.
Just set the expectation right at the beginning. They're like, okay, cool, I'll come back to this when I have 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a very important message, and it works nicely moving into the third piece of where we're going to use video. So the different context or the different objective of the video is going to factor these things that Linda's talking about. So to be fair, the length of the video I do for every single use. If it's sales, if it's client communications, if it's internal, I always tell people how much time. And I use that little squiggly line. I'm sure if someone was a mathematician here, they'd be embarrassed.
Oh, the approximate one?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's an approximation.
I've got a squiggly line this whole time. Well, I use the approximation line because I think it makes me look smart. It's approximately 2 minutes long. Yeah. Or I do the greater than or less than little crocodile thing.
Oh, yeah, true.
Where I say like it's around 2 minutes.
Little arrow.
Yeah, exactly. So people know. They know, like you said, Linda, they know. I personally don't. I try not to do looms or videos longer than 5 minutes because it is a big ask. Yeah. It's a big ask for someone to be like, hey, watch this 7 or 8 or 9 or 10-minute loom, especially in client services and just for all of them. In all honesty, for all of them, it's a big ask for people. If it's more than 5 minutes, maybe it needs to be a meeting. Maybe, I don't know. It's a big point there. But I think to go back to what Linda was talking about, to be intentional with what video are we creating, who are we sending it to, how long is it, and how do we frame it, like you were saying, within the email. So from a sales point of view, I know that there's so many different ways you can use one-on-one video for selling, and we are starting to see it a little bit more, but it's definitely
and recruitment.
And in recruitment, actually, it's a really good point. Sales and recruitment, very similar in a way, because you're trying to get that meeting, right? You're trying to get that connection. But I think it kind of follows the same principles. Yeah. You are introducing yourself. You're showing your face. If you want to get really crafty, you can personalize it with the whiteboard and put someone's name on it. I know Moby does that. I've done it a few times where you put someone's name on it and you make that the thumbnail. So in their inbox, they see a picture of you. It's a thumbnail, right? They see a picture of you, GIF thumbnail normally, with a whiteboard with their name on it, and then it's like, oh, okay, cool, that's for me. I've had a few of those before, and they are powerful. They do stand out. Yeah. Whether or not the service or the that's step one. The video, what you're saying in the video is also really important. We're not going to get too deep into that today, but it's just the whole idea of using the video to connect and do something
Yeah.
different. Just stand out from
Yeah.
what everyone else is doing.
I think that's like the most important part when it comes to using video in sales, because we say all these things and people know all these things, but yet I still can't fathom why they don't do it.
Oh.
Like sales emails are opened less than 20% of the time.
Yeah.
And we said at the beginning of this podcast, like, do we open all of our emails? No. And if we do open some of them, are we reading them fully? Probably not. No, we're skimming them.
I actually delete any email that is like a sequenced email now. I delete them right away.
Yeah.
Like I know, you can tell. We're in the industry. We can tell. We know what they look like. If one, and I get 3 or 4 of these a week easy.
Yeah.
If just one of them used a video,
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, oh, well, there you go. Someone's doing something a little bit different. They're not.
Yeah.
Then people aren't doing it. So,
Yeah.
and it is working. It is definitely working. Like I said, people are seeing your face. They're feeling your energy, your vibe. It's something different. Not to kind of let all the tips out, but like what comes to what you say in that video is also really important.
Yeah.
Because you can't just be like, hey, Linda, I made you this video to talk about how good Red Pandas is.
Yeah.
Like that's a big no-no.
Yeah.
And if you are following any of the content that anyone at Red Pandas puts out there on the internet, go and have a look. You'll see why that's a big no-no. We don't talk about ourselves. We've got strategies for that. I'm going to leave that as a big question mark because I feel like it's a whole other kettle of fish, if you will.
Yeah.
But using one-on-one, one-to-one videos within your sales process is so important.
Yeah.
I think what else, and this is more on a personal level, we use it so much at work. But I've noticed within myself, I don't use it that much on a personal level.
Right.
So what I've started doing this year, funnily enough, is I've been sending one-to-one videos to my team members, not client. Excuse me.
Who are you sending them to?
I'm sending one-to-one videos to my family members.
Oh, really?
For their birthdays.
Oh, okay.
And they're loving it. They're absolutely loving it. And I'm getting Zoe, my 2-year-old, involved and getting her to like wish someone happy birthday.
Yeah.
And it is, oh my God, it's like the same stuff at work. It's like I'm not having to write essays.
Yeah.
The family member is feeling like, I've thought about them. Here's a quick video. And like we're all so used to being on FaceTime and seeing, how do we not do it now? How have we not been doing this longer?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then even just with family members I haven't seen in a long time or friends, I send them a one-to-one video on Facebook or WhatsApp or whatever it is. And it feels funny when you first do it because it's like, oh, I haven't done this before. But if you can remember back to when you first started doing looms, you probably felt a little bit funny.
Yeah.
Now we sit in the office in a co-working space and we're all just like, just talking to ourselves like, hey, Omar, can you make sure you have a look at this on camera? Like, it's like, that's what it looks like because we're all recording these one-to-one videos to communicate to our team members and clients.
Well, I received one recently from a client and she was bold enough to go and on her own accord, download the Loom extension, share screen. She didn't put her face on there yet, which is totally okay. First one she's ever done, but she did the audio. And when she wrote me the email, she's like, hey, Linda, like, and shout out to her. Like, this is awesome. Like, I love it. She's like, hey, Linda, like, record a Loom video. I'm cringing at my voice.
Aww.
And it's like, we've all been there. Like, I remember when I first started recording videos, I recorded so many of them and I was nitpicking on every little thing. Yeah. Yeah. And you just see them all lined up against each other, the same thing. And then you start again. No.
But like, look how far we've come now.
Somewhere.
Exactly. You got to start somewhere and know that we're human, right? We're human. We make mistakes. And I think that is such a testament to your leading with your clients. So like,
can I say though, on that as well, I can understand how that would be a big roadblock, particularly for salespeople, because you have to be a certain kind of person to be in sales, right? You have to have that ego, that confidence, right? Yeah. And so I can imagine that there would be a lot of nitpicking and a lot of perfectionism, if you will, when it comes to actually releasing like your first video. So
start with internal videos.
Yeah. But like you
like
need
how we
to
talk
take
about
that
role
step.
plays. You know how we talk about role plays? Practice with your team.
Yeah.
Don't stuff up with the prospect or the opportunity. Practice your video recording with your team. You don't have to do the sales video with your team. Just start sending internal communications with your team. Become more familiar with the microphone, with the camera on you, with hearing your voice. I hate the sound of my voice. I do not like the sound of it.
Do you?
Yeah, no. You would think, Linda's like, are you sure the amount you talk? No, when I hear it back, recorded, like, and in all honesty, like most people have you've got doubts about yourself. You look at, your image and you're like, oh, I could look better or I could look different, whatever. It is what it is. It's not getting any better right now. So I'm just going to get this out there and get my communication across because I'm a good communicator and that's what's important. I need to get that message across. I need them to see, you know, my awesomeness.
Yeah.
Anyway, so 3 places you need to start using video now. Internal client communications, internal team communications, and sales.
Yeah.
I think are the key places. And the tools of choice we use are Loom and Vidyard. We're not sponsored. We don't get any stuff from these guys, don't worry. These are just good tools.
Yeah,
if you use Chrome, you can install the extension.
You get good analytics as well. You know, with emails, you don't always know what's been happening on the other side, but with video, you can go into there and see how many times they've been watched. If they've
watched the whole thing.
You've got a whole lot of analytics as well, which is also quite handy.
So get using it now. If you do one and you want to share it with us, we'd love to see it. LinkedIn, Red Pandas, however, like we're very easy to get contacted on, you know, the interwebs. But Linda, it has been an absolute pleasure.
So fun to have you back.
Talking to you again. Can't wait for our next one.
Yeah. Same time tomorrow.
That's it. Oh God, no, too much. Take it back.
Okay. Enjoy your Saturday.
Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye.